not Hut South, sorry, we've had that already. The Remutaka Electorate. It's in the Ballot candidate meeting and a live stream. Welcome, thank you very much. I am Angela Mcleod. I'm an Upper Hutt resident and a former city councillor, and I just love politics and I love these evenings. So I hope you're all ready as a set of candidates. Here we are. Here are the candidates in front of us. There's only one thing between them and the early October, and that's your vote. They're after your vote. So here we go. Kia ora, back again, thank you. And what we want to do here is we want for the candidates to introduce themselves. So do we have a preferred? Who should we start off with? I'll tell you what, let's start with, have we got the Prime Minister there anywhere? Let's start with the Prime Minister.
I am not Chris Hipkins. I am at a debate. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
This is Michael Hurle. He's not here.
My name's Heker Robertson, and I'm with Vision New Zealand. I'm here.
Hi, I'm Tony Pitiroi, and I'm with NewZeal Party.
Kia ora, I'm Chris Norton, and I'm with the Greens.
I'm not Emma Chatterton, but Emma has, in fact, submitted 2 videos, which we will see later on in the show.
Thank you very much. There you are. There is our list of candidates. So what we have now is we have a chance for each candidate to give us an opening statement. Now, Emma Chatterton has given us one to read, so I'll let these 3 who have arrived to spend the evening with us on Suffrage Day. Thank you very much, men. It's lovely to see you. Who would like to start first? If we start this way? Magic. Thank you very much. 1 minute.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. It's good to be here today. My name's Heker Robertson with Vision New Zealand, and we're a component party of the Freedoms New Zealand umbrella party. I'm standing here today alongside 2/3 of New Zealand voters who believe that our country is going in the wrong direction. And I'm standing because there are 120 MPs who are sitting in government currently, and not one of them represents what is important and valuable to me. Successive governments have made promises, and what we see at the end of it is our country is in the worst state that it's ever been in. I want people to know that Labour, National, Red, Blue, we can't go through that revolving door. There are better options that are not currently in government today. So it's good to be here tonight. Thank you.
My name is Tony Pitiroi, and I'm standing for the NewZeal Party. I've never been involved in politics before. I've been in business for over 30 years, and but just watching the state of the country with the things that are coming against and attacking our families, our democracy, our farmers, our freedom, and everything like that, I thought, you know, someone's going to stand up and stop this silliness pretty soon, and I didn't see that happening. I saw, you know, groups of people trying to make that happen. So I'm standing up now, shoulder to shoulder with anyone else that wants to see that change. And start just bringing this country back to what we were used to and what we've known it for. Thank you.
Chris?
Kia ora. Kia ora. I'm Chris Norton. I'm representing the Green Party for Remutaka, and I'm standing because the Greens have a coherent vision of what is required from government for New Zealand for the next 3 years, but also for the next decade, and indeed thinking out for the next 100 years, because the issues that we face, the challenges that we face, are much bigger than what's directly in front of our face. They're actually way out there, and they affect the next generation, the generation beyond that, and the generation beyond that. And I'm standing here to put forward our kaupapa and see how you like it and where we can go from here in terms of supporting the next government.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to read out the message that Emma Chatterton has sent to us. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the Meet the Candidates this evening. My apologies that I am not able to join you in person due to other commitments. Here is there will be a short introductory video played soon so that you can get to know me as a local candidate. I have also shared an update on progress with the Eastern Hutt Road slip remediation process that I have been working on with Hutt City Council and the Stokes Valley community. Please feel free to reach out to me directly with any further questions. I hope to see you at another of the local Meet the Candidate events in the coming weeks. Best wishes, Emma. Yeah, video.
I'm Emma Chatterton, and I'm seeking your support to be your local MP for Remutaka. I'm proud to call the Hutt Valley home, and I live here in Remutaka with my husband Tom and our 4 children.
We chose to raise our family here because we love everything that the Hutt Valley has to offer. The beautiful scenery, the innovation of local business and industry, the sense of community, the diversity, the people. We just love it here. My career has been in education and social impact. I trained as a secondary teacher and taught for 8 years at schools both in the UK and here at home in New Zealand. Music has always been a big part of my life.
As a school teacher and a mum of 4 kids, I know the importance of having an outstanding education system so that every one of our children here in New Zealand has the opportunity to fulfil their potential.
Since 2019, I've had the privilege of working with a team led by former Prime Minister Sir Bill English, developing innovative social investment tools to think deeply about how evidence, data, and smart policy can help us to do good better and create meaningful change in people's lives.
I want to work as part of a national government that puts social investment at the heart of delivering services for communities.
I am absolutely committed to being an effective local MP, and I'm a huge believer in grassroots politics and community engagement. I've been working hard to form relationships with community leaders, local business, social entrepreneurs, charities, and our voters so that I understand the issues that really matter. My team and I have knocked on thousands of doors, delivered tens of thousands of leaflets, toured businesses, attended community and cultural events, regularly been at the local markets, held public meetings, and spoken to voters right across Remutaka.
I want to champion local voice and make sure that we find strong and resilient solutions to local problems.
I'm standing as a candidate because National has a plan to get New Zealand back on track, and I believe in that plan. It's time for change. This is the election of a generation. We need to put common sense, evidence, data, transparency, and a cohesive plan back at the heart of government.
A vote for me is a vote for a strong local voice for Remutaka in Parliament. I will bring energy, policy expertise in education and social investment, and a genuine desire to authentically serve our community. That's why I'm asking for your support and a vote for Emma Chatterton in the election this year.
But I think that might have been a little bit longer than a minute. I just wanted to introduce Nick.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm well, thanks. And you?
Couldn't be better. Thank you.
Nick is going to be our question box monitor.
Answerer. Not answerer yet. Opener.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're pretty good at opening boxes though, right?
Getting there.
It's not going to be an issue, right? You don't have to have box cutters. Okay, very good. Thank you, Nick, on Suffrage Day. Lovely to have such a helper. And so what's next, Sam? Have we got an electorate video? Can we play that, please, for everybody? Thank you.
So let's find out where the Remutaka Electorate voters are based. The Remutaka Electorate is a landlocked electorate surrounded by the Hutt South Electorate, the Mana Electorate, the Wairarapa Electorate and the Aotearoa. Starting from the south, the Remutaka Electorate covers the suburbs of Nainai, Avalon, Wingate, Taita and Stokes. After leaving Lower Hutt, it moves into Upper Hutt, covering the suburbs of Silverstream, Pinehaven, Haratonga, Trentham, Wallaceville, Riverstone, Totra Park, Mangaroa, Birchville and Temaroa in the north. It continues north with the rural areas of Kaitoki and Aotearoa Valley. And you're probably wondering what's famous in Remutaka. Well, in the south they have the Silverstream Scene Museum, and in the north they have the location filming for the Rivendell scene in Lord of the Rings at the Kaitoki Regional Park.
A list of questions we think you might be asking after tonight's show. They're pretty, there's like, how comfortable will you be to have your local MP and your sensitive doctor's appointments when it comes to issues like women's contraception? With 1 in 3 Kiwis upset with the big two parties, will voters give the electorate votes to a third party in order to make change? With promises recently about putting the country back on track, will that derailed train be abandoned for truck replacements? And is there a last one? Oh, look. Oh, okay, thank you very much. So next we start, right, with the questions from the boxes. Here we go. Are you ready? You get to choose. So shall we start with... Oh, okay, thank you. Shall we start with Chris? Do you want to choose a number?
Aye. Let's start with Tahi. 1.
Just while Nick's opening that, this is what happens. Do you remember that it's in the bag? This is the kind of concept. So we don't have a tinnicker, but, we have Nick.
Okay, that's B. Will you abolish the sexualization curriculum in primary schools?
The letters, not the numbers.
Letters? How's that? Yeah. All right. Will you abolish the sexualization curriculum in primary schools? Yes or no, and why?
Okay, this was an interesting question. I had to burrow deep into the school curriculum to figure out what this was all about. But as I understand it, the 2020 curriculum included relationships and sexuality education, which unlike the 2002 and the 2015 updates explicitly introduced relationships into sexuality education. So this was in addition to the studies of gender, diversity, inclusion, and was also intended to even out the implementation of relationships and sexuality education in New Zealand, because without the relationships component, implementation had been a little uneven. So the interesting thing is that evidence from overseas, and this is from Europe and North America and New Zealand and Australia, supports the inclusion of relationships within sexuality education, and that means that everything can be adapted for the local environment. So the answer is no.
Go. And I'll explain that in a minute.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. We would abolish the sexualisation curriculum in primary schools. We believe and we've seen the content, and so I've got a 5-year-old at school, I have an 11-year-old daughter, 10-year-old and 7-year-old, and some of the things that these kids are exposed to are not appropriate for their age. I believe that we send our kids to school and we pay our taxpayer dollars so that they can learn how to read and write and prepare for the best job opportunities in the future, not to be indoctrinated by an ideology that's been forced upon them. I deal with men who struggle with sexual identity, perversion, all sorts of things. And for all of them, it started when they were young. So if we're going to open this into all of our schools and make it compulsory, imagine the aftermath of destruction that we will be dealing with in the future. We will definitely get rid of it. Let the parents teach their children about their identity according to their values and their beliefs.
Thank you. So I just wanted to make a point. The candidates already know this, but the audience might not, is they have cards and they have 3 cards. 2 are to butt in, and they're allowed to butt in at the end of a question or at the start? Just at the end. And the start of the question or at the end of the question? That's right. So this 3rd card they have is defer. So if they get a question, they can hold the card up to defer. They don't have to answer the question if they don't wish. Yes. But yeah, basically, they give up their chance to answer that question. So, Tony, pick a number.
Pick a number. I'll go for 5, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. The Prime Minister said that no one was forced to get the COVID vaccine. Do you agree with that?
Wow, can't believe I got such an easy question. Is this a one answer question?
Yeah. You have a minute.
Wow. Look.
It's actually a closed question, right? Easy to answer.
Yeah, look, we all know what was going on there and what he was saying. But what I can't figure out is why he said it. Really, leave it alone. You know, we all make mistakes. Things happen. Let's just move on. You know, admit what you've done wrong and move on. Yeah. Okay. So, do I agree with that? No, I don't. Yeah.
Heker. Choose a number. Choose
I
wisely.
have number 11, please.
Okay, here's Nick opening the
It's my
question
birthday.
box.
What is New Zealand's biggest challenge, and what is the key policy your party is using to respond to it?
60 seconds.
Where do I start there? But I think the biggest challenge that's facing our nation is fatherlessness. When you've got fathers who are not in the home, what spills out of that, and I work in prisons, I work in the community, it leads to homelessness, it leads to the law and order, the crime in the streets. And so fatherlessness has resulted in a whole lot of men and women, broken homes, housing impacts on the housing, impacts on businesses. It has destructive impacts right throughout the nation. What's our policy? We've got a law and order policy that looks at reversing the effects of the absence of fathers in the nation. I can't do it justice in 1 minute, but check it out on the Freedoms New Zealand page and you'll see what we are trying to turn around on the streets, flipping the switch on gang membership and the rising purge of gangs, crime, youth offending, ram raids. A lot of these young men, 65 to 70% of them do not have fathers. And so our prisons would be empty if we had fathers who are doing their role. Let's empower fathers.
Chris, your turn again.
Let me see. 16 things.
Will you be able to readdress Australian super being released early for returning Kiwis wanting to use the fund for deposits and purchase of their first homes? Or now more of us are returning home to New Zealand?
Okay, there's a really short answer to this, and the first part of that answer is that more New Zealanders are still leaving New Zealand than arriving by a factor of 3 to 2. And the second part of that is that Australian super can only be used under the first home scheme, the FHSS, for buying a house in Australia. So, no.
Thank you very much. Tony.
Number 9, thanks.
Sorry about
Number 9, mate.
Cheers. Okay, T.
Yeah.
Tell us 3 words that sum up for you. Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Yeah, there's a lot of words, but I'll choose these 3. Diversity, creativity, and pioneering. And, you know, the reason I use those 3 is that I could go to something very negative to describe New Zealand, but I've chosen to look at the glass half full rather than half empty. That's about it for me.
Thank you very much. Heker.
13.
Lucky number 13.
D. How are you going to address the cost of living crisis?
A minute, remember?
Are you kidding? In a minute?
Not kidding.
You know, I think the cost of living crisis is something that's not going to be solved overnight. It's something that's not going to be solved by any one policy or initiative. The fact of the matter is that we are a country that has landed ourselves in phenomenal debt because of the excessive and unwise spending of our government. So it really starts from the top before we worry about what's happening at the bottom. I believe that we need to tackle the bloated gut of bureaucracy. I know that about 1 in 5 working New Zealanders is employed by the government. That just tells you exactly where our taxpayer dollars are going. I think the start is really to redirect taxpayer money into the hands of the people where they belong. And the way to start our cost of living crisis addressing that is to just let's just reshape where the money's going, get it back to the communities who know best about what's best for them.
Kia ora. Heker raises a number of interesting points there. One of the main points is that far too few people in this country have far too much of the wealth. And the Green Party's proposal is to go and put in a wealth tax on those who can afford it, so that those who can't afford it can benefit from the sharing of the wealth. Just as an outline, 2.5% wealth tax on those individuals over $2 million of net wealth, in other words, they actually have that, releases $14.5 billion when combined with an increase in the corporate tax rate, an increase in the trust tax rate, and various other environmental and pollution charges. That $14.5 billion can fund an awful lot of social and public services, which will go a long way to relieving people of their sense of stress and distress in this time of increasing prices, because simply it's a lack of money in amongst the bottom 50% of this country's population. If we know where the money is, let's share it.
Cool. No, 1 button per question, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So because we've had Chris, and Chris would be, and I've been going in this kind of order, let's come back and Heker, so you have the next choice of question. Heker.
22.
Okay, W. I did. What is your policy on tackling New Zealand's obesity problem?
Well, I think sport's always a healthy option, living in the country of the greatest athletes and sports people in the world, although the way our All Blacks are doing right now, I'm not sure that's the focus. But one thing we'll do is we'll regulate those industries that impact upon unhealthy outcomes for individuals and families, i.e. legislate the number of takeaway stores per square kilometre in urban areas. We'll implement a sugar tax, not on the consumer, but on the companies that benefit from the peddling of what we know is a highly addictive substance. And we'll pursue affordable prices for health foods. Manufacturers of healthy food will receive tax incentives to be able to offer foods produced at competitive prices.
Thank you. Tony, next question is yours. Choose wisely.
Number 6.
Okay, E. What is your party's position on Three Waters reform? Do you have an alternative funding model?
I have a card here.
What does it say?
Deferred.
Who are you deferring it to? Oh, come on. You're running out of time, so someone has to answer it.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Party's position on Three Waters reform is it's A, essential, and B, can't come soon enough. There's actually 5 waters because Three Waters only deals with that which we manage. It doesn't deal with the freshwater feedstock, which is rain and spring water, and it doesn't deal with things like estuaries and the oceans. So there's 5 elements to water management that we need to think of. An alternative funding model? No, we don't have an alternative funding model, but we do agree with the need for waters reform because if you go anywhere in this country, you should expect that you can turn on a tap and drink the water or swim in the river.
Thank you. Sure, you now want to say something. Chris, would you like to, even though you were able to answer that one, would you like to choose the next question?
Tako, 10, please.
AB. How is your party going to stop the increasing decline in children's dental health?
Children's dental health. Notice the dental's missing there.
Oh.
But it is dental health, isn't it? Okay. Okay, so we came out, the third policy that we launched was the Dental for All policy, which was to stop the odd situation where dental health was separate from the public health system. Bring it into the public health system, and that enables us to do an awful lot with dental health. So that our policy is about free dental care for everyone, so that $150 filling and tooth clean doesn't become a $6,000 tooth operation after years of pain. I speak to many people who are in their 60s. They're concerned about their dental health. They haven't been to the dentist for a decade or so because A, they don't like the dentist, and B, they don't like the cost. Well, if we can take out one of those elements, then dental health and overall well-being of our people will improve. So children's dental health, that's all part of the picture. And as Heck has mentioned already, the sugar tax. We are right behind a sugar tax. Stop pandering to those industries which have high sugar food and actually make it people have access to good quality, low sugar, healthy foods.
Thank you. Tony, would you like the next question?
Yep, I'll grab number 2, thanks.
Z. In what direction do you see New Zealand going in the next 10 years?
Yeah, right. It's pretty easy to answer in the sense that it all depends what happens in the next 3 weeks. Yeah, and everyone here agrees we're at a really pivotal place in New Zealand's history. So one of the things with voting that I'm sure many people believe is that we should vote for our values. We should vote from the heart. Yeah, you know, in past days there's been a lot of strategic voting. I think now it's time for us to stand up and be counted and say, you know what, I see that and I don't like it. I see that and I don't like it. I see that. I'm going to make a stand with my vote, and that's the way we're going to see a change in New Zealand. Okay, so that's my answer.
Thank you. Heker.
7.
M. Rest homes are losing RNs to Te Wharu Ora as are unstable to match the pay packages, unable to match the pay packages. Do you think that pay packages for RNs should be equitable across all sectors of healthcare?
Absolutely. I I think that our nurses are some of the hardest working people in our nation. At a time when we needed them the most, they were there for us. And yet now, after everything that's happened with the lockdowns, the mandates, we're about 4,000 nurses short in New Zealand. Every nurse is important, but I tell you what, for people who work in the rest homes, they look after the elderly people. They look after the people who have invested so much into our society today. And for a lot of them, these nurses are the only family, the only people that will see, who will show them how much they care about them, spend time with them, and probably be the last ones to see them when they're alive. And so I think that we really need to value the work of these nurses in the rest homes. Yes, equitable funding for all of them.
Thank you. Chris, the choice is yours.
Remutaka, 20.
And there goes 17. Q. What MP in the current Parliament, not a party leader, do you most admire and why?
Oh, good question.
I had to think long and hard about this one. But I settled on Chloe Swarbrick because she's got the moxie. She's intelligent. She can construct and then deliver a coherent argument, much to the dismay of many of her other parliamentary colleagues. She's grounded in principles. She gets in amongst it as well. So she was there protecting the right of Korora to live on Waiheke Island as well as the humans. So, Chloe Swarbrick.
Thank you. Tony.
Okay, number 17, thanks.
Okay, N. N, yeah. Would your party advocate for introducing a sugar drinks tax to help combat obesity, dental decay, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and other chronic medical conditions?
To tell you the truth, I don't know exactly what our policy is on that, but there's one thing I would say about that is that there's a lot of research and stuff around these areas, and yet we still don't see things changing. You know, we just heard about someone that quotes research all the time, and that's my problem. Quote this thing, quote that thing, and nothing changes. Yeah. So with NewZeal, we do focus on the family, and we do think that a lot of our problems come from there. And so I would say, without talking about a policy about tax, sugar tax, I would say that it is about, supporting families to raise children well, making sure that those families stay together. Now, this is not an easy thing to make happen, as we know, but we start now to the future. Governments trying to play big mother and trying to run our families. We take back the control. Let the parents raise their children and get out of, let government take its hand out, that overreach. Yep.
Thank you. Heker.
14.
O. Over the past few years, New Zealand has suffered from many forms of division. How would your party reconnect people and heal the divide so we are a united country once again?
I think, similar to my response to an earlier question, division comes from the top. And we have had a government that has been the most divisive government in the history of this nation. It has divided, it has polarized, it has created two classes of people. And so we need to start from the top. And so really, that question should be posed to people who are currently in government. How would you? And I think when you are representing people in the nation, at the moment, they're running around now trying to scramble and throw lollies around and trying to convince people to give them their jobs back when at a time when they were needed the most, they did not listen to the people of New Zealand. We're sick of politicians. We need for them to come down and listen to the people, and we can teach the government how to bring people together, build communities. All of our policies start with building families, healing people, heal people, heal people, hurt people, hurt people. And we have a nation of hurting people who just want to, by the people they employ, to represent them.
Chris, the choice is yours. However, I just want to remind you, you haven't used all your cards up yet, and we're probably about halfway through.
Tahirua toru wha. 4, please.
Jay. In your opinion, should mainstream media be funded by taxpayers?
Mainstream, yeah, this is an interesting question because mainstream media is already funded by taxpayers because we have Radio New Zealand, RNZ, which is entirely funded by taxpayers. And also there is the Media Fund, the New Zealand Media Fund, for any broadcaster to apply for funding from for their projects or their programming. The key important point to this is editorial independence. So even if the money comes from Vote Broadcasting, that the editorial independence of the organisations is strictly maintained so that they can challenge those in power at the appropriate times.
Thank you. Tony.
Number 8, please.
V. In what ways can New Zealand lead the world?
Yeah, I believe, New Zealand needs to go back to its roots in order to lead the world. We're pioneers, we're number 8 wire. Every one of us came from somewhere else, right? We all came from somewhere else. The only ones that were here were the Kiwis and we all came from somewhere else. But the other thing is, why did we come from somewhere else? A lot of times we're getting away from worse places or hierarchical systems, and New Zealand is, it's unique in a sense in that we're a non-hierarchical nation, and so I think that we should go back to those values to start moving forward into the future. New Zealand has typically been the food bag for the world. We've always supplied out to England and stuff like this and to other places, and we just need to go higher value, higher cost, and with using our brain and technology to do more higher value products to go to the world. So I see that hand.
Yeah. And given it's Suffrage Day, the show host is just going to butt in and say that New Zealand already leads the world because today is the 130th anniversary of women's suffrage, and we were the first nation in the world to do that. Just a gentle reminder. Yes. Sure she was. She learnt pretty quickly once the colonialists decided to do it, right? So anyway, the next question is for you, Heker.
Number 12, please.
R. How has New Zealand changed since you were a child? Has it changed for the better?
When I was a child, there was no division. We played out in the streets till late. We could walk anywhere. We never went without. We could go to our neighbours. We knew our neighbours. We would share. We would look after each other. And that's the New Zealand that I knew. Today, there are wars. There's division all over the place. People don't know each other. People are suspicious of each other. People don't feel safe in their own neighbourhoods. The kids can't go at night. So no, our country has gone backwards, and it's totally not the country that I knew growing up. And that's why I'm standing here today, because I've got a young 8-year-old and a young 10-year-old, 7 and 10-year-old daughter and son, and I think that they deserve every chance in life to live the best life in the best country in the world. We've lost that, and that's why people like us are standing here to try and wrestle back and get back the country that we knew and loved.
Thank you. Chris, the floor is now back to you for your question choice.
Tacoma Toru, 23.
Yes. S for snake. That was completely random.
Well, it's not, is it?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
S for suffrage.
Yeah. Well done, Nick. Well done. You're learning.
Slowly. Do you think New Zealand has coped well with the COVID-19 pandemic? What could have been done better? What lessons have we learned?
The short answer is yes. The longer answer is that while we went hard and fast, and that upset a lot of people, that did in the initial phases prevent us from re-experiencing the 1918, 19 and 1920 impacts of a pandemic. So we've lost 4,000 people to COVID over the last 4 years. It is 4 years now. The pandemic is basically over. What could have been done better? Communications and bringing people on board and along with us. And also, I think, actually, education. What lessons have we learnt? We've learnt that if you do go hard and fast, then while the shock is immense initially, it is possible, but then you do have to bring people with you once you get over that initial shock period. As you've seen, modern health and medical technology basically given us the means in that pandemic pretty short halt. So it is really important that people understand the course and stay with us along the way.
Thank you. So, Tony, it's your choice. Oh, well, you have to be quicker than that. So what, but
Did he get it?
You showed the orange. Can you show the one? What are you wanting to do? You're wanting to button. Of course.
The fact of the matter is that the state of our country today is proof that we did not cope well with the COVID-19 pandemic. We did not know how to look after our citizens, and we did not know how to look after the well-being. I've just gone out to the streets and I see there's no life in our streets. There's no vibrance in the markets. There are businesses that have closed down. We have Kiwis who get taken better care of over the ditch than in their own country. And so what lessons could we learn? I believe that the government will be learning a big lesson right now. That's why the sway of the tide of New Zealanders is going against this government, and they're sending a loud and clear message that you did not deal with this right for us, and that's why our country is in the state that we're in. What could we have done better? We could learn to respect and look after people. We could learn that it's okay to come face to face and communicate. It's not beyond human beings to talk about things, to solve issues together, and to come up with solutions together.
Cool. And within the minute. So the choice is yours, though, for the next question number.
15, please.
Okay. In the 2019 budget, $1.9 billion was allocated to improving mental health services. To what extent would you consider that this has improved our mental health system and made a difference to our country's well-being?
What was that, not $1.9 billion? I can't believe how busy I am dealing with men who are struggling with mental health. We still have one of the worst suicide rates in the world. 25 years ago, we worked on a youth suicide strategy, and now we're still leading in youth suicide. And so that's mental health. Men are suffering. I'm seeing men who are in Te Whare Ahuru, in the hut, and a young man who was struggling. And so that tells me that the money that's being spent on this is not hitting the mark. It's not going where it needs to go. Here's something young people in crisis are waiting 70 days to be seen. That now, if they're having to wait 70 days to be seen, where's that $1.9 billion going? We're about 1,000 psychologists short in New Zealand. I spoke to a leading psychologist today who's lost his job at the mandates, and he says he has not been replaced yet. So there are going.
Chris, the choice is yours.
Tacoma Tahi, 21.
AA. The statement, opposition parties do not win elections, governments lose them. Do you agree or disagree with this statement?
Generally, that would be true.
Okay. Is it? Okay. Fair enough. Great. Tony, the next question is yours.
Great. Number 3, please.
F. Is government spending on cycling and cycleways a waste of money? Please explain your reasoning.
Well, that depends what government's spending it, doesn't it? You know, it's kind of a loaded question. And just because there was $1 million wasted on the Auckland Harbour Bridge and net result nothing, does not mean that cycleways are necessarily a waste of money. You know, it's like anything in government. There has to be good planning and good delivery, yeah? And so my answer would be, it's dependent. It's dependent on having that good planning and having that good delivery. So, you know, there's a lot of benefits to cycling, health benefits, you know, mental well-being. So I wouldn't want to see it just cut out completely.
I thought you might, Chris. There's a button being used. Go.
Got it. Spending on cycleways and cycles is not a waste of money if it's all connected into a network that enables people to travel, not just recreate. As a recent purchaser of an e-bike, I want to bike places. I want to use cycleways because if I start using the roads, I actually feel a lot less safe. So the connectivity of the cycle network within the hut, but also between upper hut and lower hut, did you realize it's a dirt track, is the cycleway? So, you know, we don't accept that of roads, but also we need people to shift out of their cars. And the way of shifting out of your cars is to enable people to have options, and cycling is one of those options. If we keep people in cars, then even if they're EVs, all we've done there is deal with the emissions. We haven't dealt with the fact that they occupy an enormous amount of road space. There's an enormous volume of maintenance that needs to go in towards repairing road surfaces. And a lot of that can be dealt with by cycling, bikes, but using public transport and other options. So there's a whole mode shift thing that's built into that question.
Thank you. So the next, choices for you. He was a button. He butted it. So yeah, Heker, it's your turn. I'm just doing the turns. Chris was a button, so it's up to you, Heker. Yes, yours is the next one. So we're going, yep. Go like that. So you choice.
18, please.
18. So who we've got a couple of defers left and a button or
Why?
two.
Would you or your party consider giving a fixed percentage of GST tax revenue to help fund local council on infrastructure projects?
There's a former city councillor. I'm waiting to hear the answer to this one.
I mean, I believe that, you know, as a nation, if one person does well, then we all do well. And so I think that applies to regions as well. And the reality is there are certain regions that have been through some adverse events. The geography, the personal circumstances of these regions mean that they require extra support. And so I think, yeah, a portion of it, it's reasonable to expect, say, for example, in our area here today, there are things that the regional council can do, but some things need a little bit of extra backing from government. And if that city is doing well, then why should one city suffer or one town suffer because they are in a much more adverse scenario than another? So I think there is in terms of the prioritization money, that's something that there needs to be a clear criteria for.
Thank you. Now, Nick tidied up the remaining questions, so you see it's a pretty straight line. Chris, the choice is yours.
That looks like a combination of winning lotto numbers there, actually.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
The kind of numbers that would do it. Tacoma Whitu, please, 27.
Thank you.
Aye. Aye. The Future of Local Government reports says a significant fund is also needed to support climate change adaptation activities. How is your party going to respond to this issue?
60 seconds, Chris.
Darn, not enough. The Green Party has considered that the climate change and the way in which we're basically stewing the planet is one of the biggest issues, if not the biggest issue that we face, irrespective of everything else that's going on in front of our faces. So we need to prevent things getting worse. That means we need to think about resilience, not just adaptation. We would actually institute the passing of a climate change adaptation bill. So that would make provision for specific activities and funding to enable local councils and others to address it. So we need to stop building stuff that's at high risk. We've built far too much of our infrastructure in floodplains. Time to stop doing that, or at least building it so badly that it gets flooded when it does actually flood. Water can go under buildings, not just through them. And when we do rebuild, we need to build it better or elsewhere. So there's a whole bunch of stuff, and we need to think differently about the way we use land, the way we live in places, and about how we respond to afterwards. So there's an awful lot of stuff I could go on with, but yes.
Thank you. Well done. Tony, the next question is your choice.
Yeah, I'll grab number 24, thanks.
P. P for party. In your opinion, how well is the government managing the adverse medical and social impacts of the COVID vaccinations?
Well, I bet a lot of you want to answer that.
60 seconds, remember?
Well, yeah, okay. I don't know if I really want to comment on what the government's doing to handle that. I personally think there should be an independent inquiry into it. That's what's needed, in my opinion. Look, we don't have any fear from the truth, right? Yeah. Let's get it going. It's easy to stick the knife in, to the government. I know that, and I don't want to do that. I just want to say, look, why don't we get an independent inquiry? Just get it sorted out. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Heker, the next question is yours.
26.
H. The Future of Local Government report says the current local government funding and finance system is already under pressure and is not sustainable. How is your party going to respond to this issue?
One of the things that report identified was it focused on 3 different areas of shift. One of them was for councils to be less about infrastructure and services and more about building the well-being and relationships with communities. And so I'd like to take that one key area, because I do believe that while we can have at the forefront of our minds the priority of infrastructure and everything else, but what it does, it actually creates a lot of stress amongst the community. Key thing is actually building those partnerships with the community, ensuring that there's well-being. And so that's just one of many responses that I've seen in that report that I believe that our policies would be able to respond well to. It's the strength and the power of authentic engagement with communities. When you're talking about co-designing things and co-partnerships, well, then really it depends on the strengths of your relationships with those community leaders.
Thank you. Chris, there's 3 questions left from this. It's in the ballot question box session. So,
Tacoma Iwa, 19.
You. Tell us one personal quality you have to offer as an MP.
I thought long and hard about this, and I came up with one line. And that line was, I can get the big picture. Full stop.
very good. Thank you very much. Tony, the choice is yours.
Wow, we're almost coming to the end.
50-50.
Yeah, I'm going for 25, thanks.
L. In your opinion, what do you think will be the main issue that will decide this election?
Yeah, I may be wrong, but I don't think it's going to be an issue that decides this election as such. I think it will be a couple of things. I think it will be people voting for the standard parties that they vote for, and then the swing voters and the non-voters, how the parties can convince them to vote for them. Yeah, and mixed in with that is all that we've gone through in the last few years, pushing people's buttons and pushing them away from some parties and towards other parties. So I don't think it's a main issue. I mean, you've got National and Labour on the TV all the time, throwing out policies, throwing out things, and they're not affecting people. So the party faithful are happy with them, but other people are just standing there looking, going, yeah, this isn't working on me. If I'm right, that's what I feel.
Thank you. Yeah. Unfortunately, you don't get to choose. The
Taking
last
away my right to choose, eh?
That's dead right.
No, that's great.
You do.
Well put.
Yes, sure. The North Korean.
G. In your opinion, should we change the minimum age for voting to 16 years old?
No. I think that in New Zealand, you are legally an adult when you're 20. You can drink and get alcohol or enter a bar when you're 18. And even if you're 16 and you leave your parents' home, but you're still under their guardianship, so this is the thing. So until you can prove that you can get out there, get a job, pay your taxes, and show that you can contribute to society, then you're good enough to make a decision on the direction of our country.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all of you candidates. Well, the 3 of you that are here. Thank you very much for your questions, for those, in the ballot type style questions. We're having a little bit of a break now, and when we come back from the break, there will be the hard-hitting questions, and you get 2 hard-hitting questions, and you have a minute to answer each of them. So I would take this 10 minute or 11, according to my timer here. So anyway, we'd like to see you back here quite quickly, so that we can get started again at 8:10. Thank you very much. 2 hard-hitting questions. Each candidate has up to a minute to answer each question. Now, what we're going to do this time, because one of the candidates, Emma, has kindly sent us in a video, we will ask the first question, and these 3 candidates here are able to answer them. You know, you have a minute, and then we'll go to Emma's video, and then we'll come back to the second hard-hitting question. So the first one is, what is the most pressing issue in the Remutaka electorate currently? Chris, shall we start with you?
Kia ora. Clearly, a lot of people expect the answer to that question to be the cost of living. And actually, I wouldn't disagree that the cost of living is a significant issue within the Remutaka electorate currently. Simply because I've been into places in Upper Hutt, and I live in Nainai, and I can see the deprivation that is there, and I know myself things are getting more expensive. However, I want us to think about something else as well, and that is the state of our water supply and the fact that we're losing 40% of our water to leaks and other issues, and that is a significant issue that Remutaka, being the headwaters of the Wellington water supply, we actually need to focus on a lot. The river is not in a good state. Our dogs can't swim in it necessarily all the time. It has algal blooms, and it suffers from high nitrate rates as well. So, you know, we really need to think about the way we are managing our water, and that is a significant issue in the Remutaka electorate.
Kia ora. Tony.
Yes, yeah, I would say the cost of living. I mean, when I go into the supermarket and see a $7 lettuce, man, I'm going, what's going on here? Yeah, come to your place later. So, okay, it's enough. You stop now. See, it definitely is a problem. And yeah, I would simply say that. That's my answer. It is the cost of living. How we fix it, well, there's a long road there if we can get it. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Heker.
Cost of living, slips, housing, you name it. There's a whole lot of issues, but I'm going to choose one. We house the largest prison in the nation in our backyard, and the men in this prison, they come out of these prisons and they contribute to the homelessness, they contribute to ongoing crime, they contribute to generations of young people who grow up without an identity. And I believe, and I've always said it right from the start, that you get the man right, you get the family right, and then you get the community right, and you get the nation right. We need to put some investment where it's due, and it's sitting right in front under our noses. I've dedicated the last few years of my life to working with these men, transforming these men who were formerly a menace to society, and now they've become successful fathers, businessmen, entrepreneurs, loving partners and husbands, and that's how we really transform this nation. So everything we're about is about you raise a man, raise a family, raise the community, and raise the nation. I believe we need to put our investment away from some of the material things onto some of the heart matters, and let's heal some men to heal our nation.
Thank you very much. So now to the tech team for the video from Emma, and of course we know it won't be a minute. But that's all right.
One of the significant issues facing residents in Remutaka at the moment is the remediation of the Eastern Hutt Road slips. The slips came down in July 2022, and since then there's been significant and ongoing disruption for the community. This has been the case for local residents, local businesses, and also people that live in the surrounding area that feel the impact of the congestion that happens on our roads as a result of the road closure on Eastern Hutt Road. To deal with this, I decided to run a public meeting. We had around 120 people come to the Stokes Valley RSA a couple of weeks ago who raised 3 key concerns. 1, access to the valley in and out of the morning. With people sitting in queues for such a long time, it is becoming really, really hard for people to plan and for businesses to afford to stay open. Number 2, the overall timeline. Is the project going to be finished in March? Is there a commitment to deliver it on time? And what's happening over the Christmas period when there's apparently going to be a shutdown? Thirdly, the communication process between the council and the community. How can we improve that so that people know what's happening and when, and feel like they're able to understand the reason that there are delays and such a long process for the remediation itself? After the public meeting, I wrote an open letter to Hutt City Council, which is available on my Facebook page if you'd like to read it, and also launched a petition called Speed Up the Stokes Valley Slips. asking council to commit to delivering the project by March and making someone accountable for that result. I'll actually be meeting with Mayor Barry again tomorrow to follow up with the points raised in the open letter and also a host of smaller safety concerns that the community brought to the table. Things like road crossings for kids who are using public transport and how we make sure that kids get to exams on time and aren't faced with a whole lot of additional congestion on the mornings that NCEA exams are running. This is a key issue for the community. I will continue to relentlessly champion local voice and drive for results. We've seen a road layout change happen at the roundabout. The council are now running 2 public meetings at Koronui. One is actually tomorrow night and one on Sunday. And there are further communications coming out via the Eastern Hutt Road update email, the Facebook pages and drop-in sessions at Koronui. As a local MP, I want this to set the example of how I will work, engaging with communities and driving for positive results.
Emma, 220 was it? Yeah. So let's get back to the questions now, because this is Emma provided one video, so we're okay. What is so the question is, and you have had a chance to see this, is what are you going to do about the Stokes Valley slip, if there's something at all that central government can do? That's my own little extra to it. So if we start with you, Heker, we'll start this end, right?
Yeah, I've always wanted a bridge. I've always wanted a bridge straight across the road. But you know, Emma is reporting on things that the council has undertaken to let us know about anyway. About they've already established that March is going to be the date that they make sure this is done. And it's tricky when you're dealing with things. There's a lot of unknowns in this. We don't know what's under these mountains. A little another shake could loosen everything else again. And so I appreciate the fact that the council, there's about 27 million that's going into this work. The council are doing what they want, what they can. And really it's just about us being able to say, let's model what it is to walk together and walk through this process. I live in Stokes Valley, so I have to do this every day and get my kids to school. You know, it happens all the time. But as long as what's happening tomorrow, that continues, we can start through our hardships, establish a way that we can work and walk together. And when things need to change, then let's be flexible enough to change and hear what the community is saying.
Kia ora. Tony.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Look, these guys are talking, but you know what? I don't have anything to add to that. Yeah, the council's spending 27 million.
Yep.
Let's go. I think I'm just wasting my words to talk about it when there are a lot of people already doing stuff on this. Yeah.
Thank you. Chris, what are you going to do about the Stokes Valley slip?
Kia ora. I'm not going to do anything about the Stokes Valley slip, but one thing that Emma did raise was the transport chaos that occurs in the morning and to a lesser extent in the evening. And what that tells me is that we are entirely too dependent on cars. So, you know, we need...
Please respect the candidates.
We need to think about what it is that's causing us the hardship in response to this totally foreseeable event, a slip. There is a reason that the railway line runs across the river and up through Manor Park. It was intended to go under the hill, but they started drilling and went, no, we're not going through this. So those hills have been known to be slip prone since the 1940s, at least. This was inevitable, this event. How we respond to it, how we prepare our citizens, how we prepare the city's infrastructure, and how we prepare the council's processes. Those are the important points.
Thank you. So, Sam and team, we're a little bit ahead of time here. We're a little bit ahead of time. It's pretty cool. Should we come up? Have we got somewhere we've got to come up with another question for them? Okay, we could do that. Let's do that. So, you have been asked, and so you will have been prepared for this. Now, I'm just not sure about my little thingies here. But anyway, the candidate's first private members bill. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. So any member of parliament can put a bill in the ballot. It's really quite a cool little system. It's a biscuit tin. And inside that biscuit tin are these little round, buttons, I suppose you could call them, the little counters with the numbers of the bills on them, and you can go in the ballot, and you know your bill might get pulled out of this. There's quite a ceremony, and there's magic pens, and there's all sorts of things that staff go along in their pocket to make sure that their member has their bill drawn. Of course, you know, there's prayers and all sorts of things going on about, you know, which one will be drawn, just to give you a little bit of it's nothing fancy. It's a biscuit tin. But anyway, you do have that ability. Well, an MP, a Member of Parliament, does have that ability. So what will, you have up to 2 minutes to answer this question. What will be your first member's bill in that biscuit tin? As in, if you were to be successful in this election and be a Member of Parliament. Tony.
Yeah, hi. So the bill that I would introduce is extending the time from when candidates are announced to the election from 4 weeks to 9 weeks, because it's just not enough time. And you know, we had evidence of that. I got a call yesterday saying, "Hey, you want to go to candidates meeting?" Okay, or was it yesterday or the day before? Yeah, yesterday. So only because Jill just found my name slipping through as a candidate for Remutaka. So in local body elections, there's a 9-week time frame, and that gives time for everyone to get prepared and to start moving through the campaign. I'm still trying to get my car sign written, and there's only 3 weeks to the election. You know, things like that. So that. It's a simple bill, but it really is just it's a leftover from first past the post, where the small parties just haven't been taken into account as to giving them enough time to run up to the election. Okay. And thank you.
Chris, your answer to that.
Okay. You're not going to be surprised at this, but my private member's bill would be one that would seek to establish a national regional passenger transport operator for revitalising our passenger rail system. And this is important because rail is an extremely efficient way of enabling people to move across the country, and it also helps reduce our emissions profile. It enables people to get rid of the car if they don't want to go use it for long distances. And with sufficient political will, we could have the ability to stop flying in this country unless you're going inter-island. That's a significant action that would enable us to reduce our carbon emissions and would help us mitigate climate change, and also provide better social outcomes and better social equity along the way. So that would be my first bill.
Thank you. Heker.
I would introduce a parental rights bill. People would argue that there are laws that protect and cover the rights and responsibilities of parents and the rights of children. But yet what we've seen in government is increasingly an overreach of government into the lives of parents and to the things that they know. I'm concerned about some of the things that my daughter will be able to get access to, like contraceptives, and yet I don't need to know about it at the age of 11 years old. That's something that can't happen. And so I believe that this bill will protect the rights of parents, it will protect them from the overreach of government, and will also raise a certain standard and some clear definitions about the boundaries that are required for what's the minimum type of engagement that you need to have with parents. Even if it just does something just to change and put the onus on the government to make sure that parents are involved in every step of the way of their children. The way that things have happened, it actually shows that we need some clearer definitions on this. So a parental rights bill will cover that.
Thank you. Now, Sam, are you standing there to say something in particular?
Oh, I want to have a cameo at the end of the show, but I think we might have got there a little bit sooner than planned.
We've got some more questions.
Oh, bring over the questions. I'll read them out. I'll be question host at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I get one of you to pick each one, just pick the question. I don't think it's been asked in this one. I tried to make them quite different.
Can you get those cards again?
No. Sorry, you forfeited that. In fact, I don't even know where they are to give them to you.
I'll sit here just in case it is a question we've had.
Yeah. Okay, so you've had a chance to look at your one. Would you like to read the question and then give us your answer with it? The answer is a minute, so
So this is a question that we've had. Would your party advocate for introducing a sugar drinks tax? Yes, we would. Do you think that transgender females should be able to compete in women's sports? I think that women who were born a woman should be the only ones allowed in women's sports, and men who were born men in men's sports. So, no.
Thank you. What's your one there, Tony?
In your opinion, should councils be forced by the Ministry of Health to fluoridate their water supplies? No.
Okay.
That's my answer.
Okay. Chris, what's your one there?
These are proving to be effective, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do you think New Zealand should investigate having an independent commissioner against corruption like New South Wales? And my answer to that is yes, because while corruption in this country is not overt, it's amazing how quickly things can become so expensive. So
Thank you. So there you go. 3 questions, 3 minutes. We've done all right.
I know. It's very impressive the way how things have gone tonight. These people have been busting through questions like they're going out of fashion. And they're delivering answers. That's the important part. They're delivering answers.
Yes, thank you very much, Sam. So what we have is that we have a chance now, because we're a wee bit ahead of time, but that's kind of quite good because it's a school night. Is it still a school night? It's not school holidays, right?
No, that's next week.
That's next week. So what we're going to do now is offer you the chance to do your candidates' closing statements. Now, Sam, can we cope with the technology and the cameras here if they would like to stand?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we have a brilliant cameraman over there. So we've had a bit of a swap around of positions here because, we got musical chairs. But yes,
So
they can stand.
If you would like to stand, feel free. You have a minute for your closing statement. So, Chris, would you like to go first?
Never look too eager.
Well, it's alphabetical now.
Oh, okay. Kia ora. I'm going to invite you to consider voting for the Green Party. We have been stable partners with the Labour government this time round. We've worked with them on climate change and also reduction of family and sexual violence. That's a long generational process, and it's been part of the Green Party kaupapa now for 30 years. But it's only when you get in government that you can actually effect change. Until then, you can apply pressure from the outside, but as has already been acknowledged, you can be ignored. I've been ignored. I've been called politically irrelevant back in 2013. So a party vote for the Green Party will enable you to have your voice in Parliament. We are there. We are likely to be there again. And many more Green MPs will enable you to have strong voice in there for renters' rights, for a wealth tax, and for climate action. Party vote Green. Kia ora.
Thank you.
So where are you on the list?
I am number 43.
Okay, so that's a fair bit. So you've got to try to get 25% of the country at least to vote for you to get a shot there. Okay.
Yes.
Sure. Dreams, well, let's work hard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're here for this, and
Exactly.
and we never know what's going to happen on election night. So in alphabetical order, that means Heker, you're next. Oh, maybe it wasn't such a good idea. Sorry about that.
No, I'm all good to sit. Yeah. Okay. I think we all know where we've been over the last few years as a nation, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And I think New Zealanders are looking for some real hope and some real solutions, not people who can just say a whole lot of great ideas, but people who actually have evidence that they've done what they say they're going to do. Every policy that we stand for, every policy that we put on our website, every policy that we speak about are policies that we are already walking in and that we already have the results to prove it. We have evidence of men whose lives have been transformed, families who've come together, businesses and good families that have emerged out of this. And if you want a party that's going to say, hey, we're going to walk the talk because we've already walked it, then we ask for you to give your party vote to Freedoms New Zealand and Heker Robertson Vision. And we have a true vision for this nation, and we absolutely know that we can take our country back. New Zealanders are looking for hope. They're looking for New Zealanders who are willing to step outside of the blue and red and what's in there, and New Zealanders who are bold enough to speak up for what is truthful and to keep on walking that walk every single day, regardless of whatever the outcomes are. Freedoms New Zealand, Heker Robertson. Thank you.
Kia ora.
And I want to ask, where are you on the list?
I'm number 2 on the Vision New Zealand list, and I'm number 5 on the Freedoms New Zealand
Wow.
Umbrella Party list.
Very good.
Okay, we get to know. We know where you lie.
So, Tony, unless of course, and I didn't think of this before, you're actually Anthony. Tony is.
Yes, Mum. Stop it. Okay, yeah. My closing statement, I do want to talk about NewZeal, the party. NewZeal, we stand for family. We have priorities. We have family. We stand for freedom. We stand for farmers. We stand for good financial management and the future, and that mainly around teaching. And what I'd like to say, and why I think that you should vote for NewZeal, is because Alfred Naro is leading the party. He's an experienced politician. He's been in government 3 terms. He's been a cabinet minister. He knows how to sit around the table and get things done. We support him 100% because we know that he has a mandate to do this, a very strong mandate to do this. And Alfred Naro, NewZeal, candidate for Remutaka, Tony Pitiroi. Thank you.
And where are you hiding on the party list?
I'm on the party list number 5. Yeah.
Seems to be quite a popular figure.
So in thanking you, I want to thank you for putting your names forward. I want to thank you for standing up for your beliefs, values and convictions. And I actually want to say that at a very personal level from me, because, as I was saying earlier, I'm a former city councillor and I have campaigned at local government level, and I have campaigned for the mayoralty as well as for council, and I know the effort and the time and the money that you actually have to put up in order to do this. And so I just want to thank you for coming out in the evening, for spending some time, for supporting Sam and Nick and the team, us here at It's in the Ballot. It's a newish concept. It came up with the last local government elections.
A bit earlier than that.
Yeah, but well, that's where I met it.
Yes.
And I think it's a great idea because it gives you a chance, in a small quick fire session to be able to get your views across. And I just wanted to, especially on Suffrage Day, where women won the right to vote 130 years ago, that you are here today. And I want to also ask the audience here, the in-person audience and the people that are watching the show online and live streaming, that please vote. It is actually really, really important. Our foremothers and aunties and sisters and some forefathers actually did a lot of work through the suffragist movement to get us to a position where we can vote. So please do so. Kia ora.
Okay, if you can please put it on camera free, Alex. So I think that's the one that's on me. Okay, so thank you, Ange, for sitting in for tonight in the host role for It's in the Ballot. And thank you to Linda, who did Hut South show earlier today. One thing that really does inspire me is about the many female leaders who have sat there and made their way, right from Kate Shepherd right through to who we have today. The fact that we've got to the point where we've got 50-50 female-male MPs in Parliament. I think that is a brilliant achievement. It's taken a long time to get there, but we have got there. And that's something that has always been a bit strong to me, is like, how do you celebrate women having the right to vote? And especially the fact that Queen Victoria, who believed women shouldn't have had the right to vote, was our queen at the time. Women got the right to vote. So I think that's quite an ironic one on there. And we can look at, if we look locally, we had Feta Turkatney Sullivan. I think she's been probably the most inspirational female politician in there, because she was the one who showed, you can be a cabinet minister, you can be Māori, and you can also have a baby in office. And that's something. She was the first female cabinet minister in the Commonwealth to have a baby and take time off while in office. And that was done back in 73 or 74. Yeah, it was during that very short Norman Kirk period of government. Okay, so let's sit there and bring up what's happening tomorrow. We've got the Wairarapa Electorate which will be at the Martinborough Town Hall. Can I ask anyone in here, you're willing to travel over the Remutakas to join us tomorrow to see the Wairarapa candidates? Get some hands up. No hand. Oh, we got one. We got one. and then after that, we'll be heading over to the Aotearoa Electorate Company Impact Hub for Thursday. And for Friday, we're going back to my stomping ground, Newtown, where we'll be having at the Newtown Community Centre both the Rongotai and the Wellington Central It's in the Ballot show. And then we're going to be heading off to my other old stomping ground, Kandala, where we'll be at the Kandala Town Hall for the Oharu It's in the Ballot show. Now, tomorrow, for those who are car enthusiasts, we're going to show you the damage of what happened to my clutch on my car on the way back from the Mana show. So just to also let you know, I've made a mechanic rich over this weekend. So we'll be having some money spent tomorrow. Good thing is, when you have car repairs, you can claim back the GST. It actually reminds me, I've got to pay PAY tomorrow. Tomorrow's the 20th, so I've actually got to pay that. These are the joys of being a business owner. So I'll be able to show you what damage happened to the clutch while we had all the It's in the Ballot gear on the way back from the Mana Electorate show. So if you're a car enthusiast, you can see how badly damaged my clutch blade is, the pressure plate. I've also got told that they had to repair my clutch fork as well. So, yeah, it's a bit on there. But, hey, this is the extremes we go to make sure these shows exist. It's, and I'm actually glad it went out where it did rather than halfway up the country. So, if we can sit there and see you there. Now, Ange, would you like to close off the show since you're the host in there? I'm just doing a cameo.
Sure, thanks, Sam. So thank you very much once again. Thank you very much to the candidates, for the parties that have put campaigns together for your teams. Thank you very much to the audience that are here. Thank you for coming out this evening, and also thank you to the people that are watching online. And keep sharing, keep looking after each other, keep respecting each other, and we will see what happens in early October with this general election. So kia ora tātou. Ka kite anō.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope the camera's catching this.